Hello, Streamies. I'm Kristina.
And I'm Kristen, and we're your hosts for Up Next.
We are actors, comedians, and we decided to put our binge watching to use.
Every other week, we'll highlight one genre, but two movies or TV shows, one old and one new.
Plus, every episode will let you know what's hot and what's not on the countless streaming services.
So sit on your couch and dent and grab some popcorn to find out what to watch tonight. From yours truly,
The Gals of Up Next.
All right. I'm so excited. Kristina, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Just working a lot so I can
Mm-hmm.
survive.
The nasty way of life that all of us have to do. Disgusting.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was not born rich. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
I know.
darn it.
All right. I've got my youth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all you need. Yeah, 100%. Is there anything you've watched recently that you're like, "This shit's getting me through my life?"
Well, I haven't really been watching a lot of TV this past couple weeks because I've been working that 40-hour life.
Yep.
But, I've been watching the Grey's Anatomy
I knew it. I knew it. I was waiting for you to say it.
and I did watch a couple episodes of The Circle. That shit is like,
Oh my
it's
god.
crazy. Yeah,
It's so good.
it's so good. And the rest of Invincible.
You said that you watched the rest of Invincible?
I did. The season finale, it is so freaking good. I
Is
am,
it?
like, still thinking about it.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to watch it. Oh my god, okay. I know the season finale just came out. People probably want spoilers, and you know what?
No, we're not spoiling nothing.
We're not talking about it.
There's they're renewed for 2 more seasons, 2 and 3, and I think it's really gonna change some things. Fantastic. But I watched that. I won't keep talking about that for an hour. Sorry, guys.
You could.
And what about you? Did you watch anything?
Yeah, so I've actually started watching on Netflix. There's this animation show called Kipo. Kipo and like the Magical Beast, the Mystical Quest. Oh my gosh. Kristen, you don't even know the show you're watching. Don't worry.
What's it
It's
about?
it's called Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. It's super great. It's about this girl. She lives in a burrow. In this, it's kind of like a alternate universe where all the animals and the insects, they're the like humans on the top of the world, and then the rest of the human race kind of was like wiped out by these animals, and they're on underneath the world. They're like in burrows, excuse me, the last of the humans. And her burrow gets kind of attacked, and her family. She's trying to find her dad. I'm only in the second season, but right now I'm like cried, I've laughed. It's super good. There's like these mutes, there's mutes is like these animals that can talk. And then there's actual like massive mute mega animals. Those don't talk. They're just mega. They're humongous. Like there's these dogs, they're just huge. It's okay, I can honestly talk about this for an hour or two, but we're not going to do that. It's just, like, a really good show, and it's if any of you have not seen it, definitely go and watch it. It's on Netflix. It's animation, but it's super good. Kinda gives me, like, Adventure Time vibes where, like, it has
Okay.
songs, but it's also, like, super cute. I love it, man. But I've been watching it. Super great. Love it so much. Everyone go watch it. And aside from that, I just started watching Superstore on Hulu, so
It's
yeah, I heard you
fantastic.
talk about it, and that's why I'm like, "Fine, I'll watch it." We did that. I talked for way too long about Kipo and the, Wonder Beast, but I don't care because everyone deserved it. Um, so let's get into our normal everyday icebreakers. The listeners need to know us more, and we agree. We want you to know us. The inside of our eyeballs, what do we look at? We'll tell you. I don't look at anything. Christina, what is your favorite animal?
Oh, okay. So, my favorite animal is an elephant,
Aw.
and it's not because I'm from Alabama, so do not
Mm.
roll tide me, anyone.
Wait, why would an elephant relate to Alabama?
Girl, I do not know. I do not know, but their Alabama's mascot is an elephant for the University of Alabama, and it's Roll Tide, and there's an elephant with a red tide, and it makes no sense to me.
What the heck?
I don't know, but it's my favorite animal because they're like these huge beasts that are just so, like, beautiful and majestic, and they do not forget nothing, like, and they grieve just like humans do. They're just beautiful animals, and that's why I really love them.
They are super
What about you?
sweet.
What's your favorite?
That's a really hard question. Because my favorite like creature is a sea turtle. Like I just love sea turtles. Every time I see one, I like feel I feel the most sane. But I also just really like horses now, like in terms of like four-legged animals. I love a horse, honestly. It's a new thing, so I'm exploring it. Never ridden a horse.
You were, in Puerto Rico with all the horses.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely has a lot to do with it because I'd never like pet horses that much and now all these wild horses they just like come up to you and like let you it's a lot of trust thing, but it's also just like you feel so good when a horse lets you pet them and like it's a wild
Yeah.
horse. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have
It's
to
new.
go we'll have to go horseback riding together.
Yeah, I've never been, so let's fucking do it because I have no
Let's
idea what
do
to
it.
expect.
I would love that, please.
What animal would you want to be?
What animal would I wanna be?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a hard question.
That that is really hard. I was just thinking about what animal I like, but what would I wanna be? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Do you know what you'd wanna be?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm not positive. If I thought about it more, my answer would probably change. But I'm pretty sure I'd want to be a dog just because, like, honestly, you get all the love and the pets and the scratches, and then you don't do anything.
I like that.
So I'd probably be a dog. But if I had to dream big, obviously I'd be a bird so that I can go anywhere I want and like see things and stuff. But
You know, I was gonna say a bird, like a tropical bird, because 'cause they're very
yeah,
colorful, like one of the toucans or something,
yeah.
but I also don't trust birds. I don't trust their little beady eyes, you know?
How
I don't like
dare you?
the way they look at you? No. No,
People
ma'am.
say I have beady eyes.
You don't. You have, like, shark eyes.
Oh my god, that's so sweet. Guys, did you hear that? Kristina, stop.
Like, in a good way, shark eyes. Like, some people think shark eyes are bad, but
No,
I
I
think
think
they're
they're
nice.
good. I
Yeah.
think so too.
Anyway. So another icebreaker question, Kristen. Would you
hmm
use color, like how animals use theirs? You know, like the stripes on their back or the prints. Would you use it as a way to attract a mate or to repel others?
Oh, easy. Obviously, attract. If you don't know me, now you know. I would attract everyone, and then I would lure them in, kind of like Ursula, and then I would just kill them. I'm just
That's
kidding. No,
really
I just want
I was gonna say like one of the spiders.
no, I just want someone to love me. So I'd probably just attract. I'd be a solid like male hummingbird.
Oh, cute. I would repel.
Ah. Okay.
I'd be like one of those frogs with the bright colors. Be like, get away from me. I'm macho. You don't want to get near me. I poison you.
Oh, okay. So
It's just
literally
because I
just
don't wanna be hurt.
okay.
It's a
No,
mechanism.
that makes sense. No, that's you're you're kind of like a porcupine. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Eh.
Oh my god, I would be a porcupine.
Aw,
That'd be so
cute.
cute.
You're like, "Don't touch me," but also I'll let my little stingers down if I
Mhm.
like you. That's
Right?
cute. I'm here for it.
Thank you. I
Wow.
knew you'd understand.
Yeah, of course I do. Okay. I think you know enough about us now. But if you don't, no fear because we'll be back at it next episode. Now, let's get into what's hot.
Hey, it's JD from the Hyman Podcast. I created this podcast to have hard conversations. Conversations that make us human but are also wildly uncomfortable. Conversations that help give voice to the voiceless and to the marginalized. Now you can listen to the entire first season on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Consider this your personal invitation to join the conversation.
What's hot?
Younger on Paramount Plus is hot, hot, hot. But Liza needs to figure out her shit and go to therapy. It's okay. Everyone goes now.
Made for Love on HBO is still hot, and I hope you're keeping up. Did we mention that Ray Romano's in it?
Mitchells vs. the Machines on Netflix. Actually so cute, and we stan Abby Jacobson. Hot.
The Handmaid's Tale is on Hulu. Hot, AV. But for those who still stuck around, blessed be thy fruit, bitches.
Without Remorse on Amazon Prime. Michael B. Jordan. Need we say more? 'Cause we will. It follows baby Michael as an elite Navy SEAL as he uncovers an international conspiracy while seeking justice for the murder of his pregnant wife. Hot.
The Mosquito Coast on Apple TV is all the buzz. Hot.
Big Shot on Disney Plus is now on their 3rd episode. John Stamos is, you guessed it, still hot. But if you still haven't watched their newest short based off of Soul, 22 vs. Earth, it has my heart. So hop on over to Disney Plus now.
But is the Big Shot hot?
I mean, we don't know, but John Stamos is.
Life in Color with David Attenborough on Netflix is a must-watch. And you can watch a frog superplex another frog. Can you smell what the frog is cooking? Hot.
Mortal Kombat is still hot, even though it's been a week. Can the second movie come out already?
Flawless Victory. Hot.
Things Heard and Seen on Netflix. I did hear things about this, and I will be seeing it soon. We heard it's hot, and that's why we're gonna watch it tonight. So you should too.
Now that you're up to date on what's hot and not,
Let's get into our older documentary this episode, For Ahkeem.
and Jeremy S. Levine and Landon Van Ness are the directors for this documentary.
And it was produced by Nicholas Weissman, starring Dajay Shelton, also known as Booney.
The budget for this film is unsure, but the total gross was $23,000.
That's so much less than I would have hoped for.
I know.
It deserves so much more. And the description on Hulu reads, filmed in 2013, after a fight lands 17-year-old Dajay Shelton in a court-supervised high school, she's determined to turn things around and make a better future for herself, a challenge that many Black teenagers face in America today. So, in your own words, Kristina, how would you describe this documentary film for people who haven't seen it?
It's an coming-of-age story that follows Deja Shelton, also known as Booney, I think over the course of 2 years. And over these 2 years, she's also 17, and she struggles being a 17-year-old Black female. She's kicked out of school, she's sent to an alternative school, and she becomes a young mother. And she also overcomes these many different obstacles to keep her down in that barrel. And she's got to find a way to rise above that for her and her child. And this is also during the time of the Ferguson shootings where Michael Brown was killed. It's like this civil unrest is also happening around her, and she's just trying to survive and help her child survive and not be a disappointment to her own family.
Yes. Pretty much in simpler terms, everything that happened in the movie, it was what you just said. And I was doing some research, looking into the documentary as a whole and what it was supposed to be. And I found it really interesting how at first the directors they had planned that this was going to be a movie just to show what happens to these children and how they're most vulnerable to the criminal justice system. But they met Dajay as they were interviewing these students at the school, and then they immediately were like, no, you're going to be the face of this movie. Like, this is your film. And just because of her energy and her radiance, it captivated them, and they were like, your story and just you as a person, this is going to be your film. And that's how, For Ahkeem actually came to be. It just says so much about how this one woman, Dajay, just you're watching it and you immediately become so attached to her, and you just feel so much for her, and you just instantly, I fell in love with her once she was on the screen. It's this beautiful young woman. She's 17 years old, misunderstood, and it just goes to show how actually amazing she is if this film just completely became her film by the snap of a finger.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just had chill bumps with all that you just said, because I wrote in my notes when I was watching this.
Mhm.
What did I exactly say? I said, "She has this beautiful glow that makes you wanna smile when you see her smile."
Yes. It's her
Like, she
smile.
man, okay, I'm gonna, like, cry. But
So
she is, like, so beautiful, and I checked her out on Instagram too, and she is
Mhm.
so freaking gorgeous.
She
She's
is.
so gorgeous,
I saw you
and sh
followed her, so I followed her
yeah.
too.
Oh, yay, great. Everyone should follow her. Hold on,
Everyone
let
follow
me
her.
put in her Instagram real fast. Oh, her Instagram is Dajae, that's Daje underscore Shelton,
Mhm.
Shelton. So go follow her. She's making things happen now,
Yeah.
but this I did not know that, what you just said, that they were supposed
Mhm.
to film other people.
Yeah. Yeah,
I didn't
and
get that
it
far
just,
in my
like,
research.
focused on her, which makes sense. Let's unpack the movie, just like, not obviously not scene by scene. We're not gonna sit here for 3 hours talking about how deep this movie is, because it absolutely is and should be talked about, but we'll just go, like, from beginning to end. So, in the beginning, obviously, we find out she got kicked out of school because she got in a fight, but this just goes to show. So, she got kicked out. It was, like, her first fight. She's never had fights. She normally has good grades, but she got kicked out because of the extent of this situation. And even just starting from right there, like, it's such a hard obviously, I'm not speaking from experience. I'm speaking from, like, just research and stuff and, like, friends, but just being born in an already, marginalized community,
Mhm.
like, her family line, all of her family, it's the same pattern. Like, her mom had her at a young age. Her mom didn't do anything she wanted to do. Her mom didn't feel successful. Her mom stayed in St. Louis. Daje grew up and said, I need to get out of St. Louis. I'm going to get out of St. Louis. She didn't want to fall into the pattern that her mom was in. But this is what happens in these under marginalized communities. This is a pattern of, just family. It's not, I hate when people say, like, that black and brown people can just, like, snap out of it, like, work hard and get past. But it's hard to step up if someone's constantly pushing you down, and that someone being our entire system, like our entire world, is just pushing these black and brown people down. So how the hell are you supposed to they're already starting at a 20% while other people are starting at a 50, sorry, not even 50, at an 80%. So it's, like, hard to just, like, push past that. But that's basically, like, the beginning, and just showing you immediately, just right her first fight, she's already having to go to another school, a court supervised high school.
And, like, I feel like a lot of people who, who are black and brown, like, they get into a lot of trouble just for, like, being loud, and they're not even,
Mhm.
like, loud,
Mhm.
And if it was anybody else who were, like, white, who did that in, like, the school, I remember being in high school and not seeing any of those consequences. But her story really spoke to me on, like, on a personal level as well.
Mhm.
So, like, growing up, I was out of my household when I was 16, and I dropped out when I was 16, and I got my GED. And I can just think about how even though, like, I came from nothing, I know that I had that privilege just from the color of my skin. Like, I got into a community college so easy. I got my GED so easy, and I know that if I was of color, that I would have not have had those same privileges at all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be where I am today.
And even just, like, saying that, like, it goes to show, like, how sensitive this is truly too. Like, obviously, I'm so happy that you were able to make it out, but most people wouldn't be. Like, most
Mm-mm.
people would, especially if the color of your skin was also an increasing factor. But most people can never make it out of where they grow up and where they were, because of everything around them. That's the only thing they know, and they want to leave, but how are you supposed to leave if you're, well, there's a quote that the one woman said. It was actually Michael Brown's mom when, they were kind of showing the footage, because this was filmed at the same time as the Michael Brown case murder. The mom literally was like, "Do you know how hard it was for me to get him to graduate high school? You know how hard it is to get a black man to graduate high school, because they walk outside, they see all their friends, and all their peers being, ostracized by the police. So they're like, why do I care? I'm next. What does it matter to me? And it's literally exactly like that. Like most people just grow up and they're like, I don't care. What? I know what my path is for me. And it's just because that's ah
All those mothers, like, knows this too because they lived through that same thing. They saw
yeah.
their friends being killed. They saw their brothers and sisters going through the exact same thing, and
Yeah.
then you really see that, that hurt and that love that Deja's mother has for her and
Mhm.
how she just wants her to get out
Yeah.
and be good and get a get an education so that she can not go down the same path that that she went down, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. She said it multiple
And
times. She was
it
like, "Be different than me. Like, you can be anything you wanna be. Just put your mind to it. You can do it."
yeah. You even get to see, like, these, like, that her mom, she had her own dream, you know? She wanted to have her
Mhm.
own, like, soul food restaurant. She hasn't been able to do any of that, because she's still struggling because of the system. She talks
Yeah.
about how she didn't get an education and now she can't even hardly get a job, and that's why she's, like, fought so hard to get her daughter to, like,
Ye
realize that she needs that.
yeah. Ugh, it's so sad. Moving, like, on within the documentary after that's obviously all in the beginning, them saying how much Dajae has a future, and then we get into seeing her at the school, and one of her friends dies or a person she knows dies at the school. Right before they show the candlelight vigil for one of her friends who got killed, um, she talks about how she got shot. And she was just so desensitized to it. She's like, "Yeah, I got shot." And they're like, "Oh, what was?" Her friend was like, "Oh, by a 22." And she's like, "No, by a 38." And it was just like a normal one-off sentence. Nothing else was said. It literally was just like, "Yeah, I got shot." And then cut to this candlelight vigil, and she's like, "My my, my peer just got shot and killed." There's a moment where she says all the names, so I'm gonna say all the names because it's from her mouth, and although this was filmed in 2013, I'm sure more of her friends absolutely got shot, but from when this was filmed, these are all the people that she had said. So um, every single one of these kids were 16, by the way, all under 17,
Mhm.
never got to live to 17. And she said Pierre was first, then Bion, then Chauncey, then James, then Chubb, then Marco, Nick, McKay, and honestly, too many to count, and all 16. 16 years old, and all these, she's had already like seven friends die. It's so sad.
Yeah, she and her boyfriend, they talk about how
Antonio,
Antonio,
love
how
him.
they talk a I know, his little smile.
He's so
Okay.
sweet. Okay, sorry.
They talk about that fear of, like, not even making it to 18.
Mhm.
Like, how sad is that? Live until you're 18, basically. Like,
Yeah.
that's your life expectancy.
Yeah.
It's just saying, like, "Oh, I gotta do what I gotta do until I'm 18. I might be dead by then."
And that's why even, like, with that mind mentality, you were growing up with the mentality, you're seeing all your friends fucking dying in front of you, and you're like, "Ah, I'm gonna be next one day, so might as well do whatever the fuck I want," which is what most of these kids have to go through. None of us white passing people will ever have to go through that. Like, I mean, obviously it depends on where you're located and, what upbringing you had in terms of, like, um status and truly the color of your skin, but most of these kids grow up where everyone around them is dying, and I can't even
Yeah.
imagine. I can literally can't even fathom to think about how you even, like, go through doing life. Like, I would be like, "Fuck it, whatever, I'm gonna die soon anyway," which is what all these kids think.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, you also just said it, like, it's the color of their skin, that's the reason why that they have that fear of not making it to 18, that's why they're all dying at 16.
Mhm.
They're being raised in that systematic, like, racism, But even people who are white, they might be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna live a long life," and that's probably just because of a wealth thing, not because of the color of their skin.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought I was gonna make it to a certain point because I just had a really awful childhood, and that was the reason why I didn't think I was gonna live, never because of the color of my skin.
Yeah.
And just to feel like I can't even imagine what that must feel like. And he talks about like, her boyfriend Antonia talks about how he thinks he might die all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, oh my god, that's so sad. Obviously, worth noting, cried like 7 times during this film. Just because
Mhm.
obviously because it's very just like moving and, filmed beautifully and following this amazing human being, Dage, but also it's just happening right now and it's so hard to like look at something and I mean, if you don't feel anything with anything that's happening right now and like you can't watch this and also just like empathize and like sympathize with everything and just find the commonalities between this movie that was filmed, I mean, a good bit ago in 2013 and still fucking happening right now and it doesn't make you feel to some type of way, like what I that's just me saying
Well,
what
I
the fuck.
mean, so, like, that alternative school that they go to, there's that teacher that talks to them about how history always repeats itself,
Yes. Yes.
and, like, that's what this is, and, like, there's I can't remember the teacher's name, and he talks about, like, how he got arrested and how he was, like, filming the police officer who was I don't know what he was doing to his friend. I don't know if he was, like, beating or, like, trying to arrest his friend in the alleyway, and he was like, "I pulled out my phone and started recording it," and then the guy was trying to charge me with something, with, like, disrupting
Yeah.
the public or disorderance or something like that.
Probably like obstruction of justice.
I think it was, like, disturbing the peace or something like that,
It's so
and how
stupid.
he had to go to jail for that.
It's so stupid.
And a lot of people are being more aware of these things now because people are videotaping.
Yeah, which thank God. I'm happy that now
Mhm.
obviously, phones weren't as big, like smartphones, obviously, we're old enough to have a time without phones at all. And now that we've already, went into smartphones and now we actually have proof and we can get fucking justice nowadays. It's like pulling fucking teeth and it barely will happen. But being able for their having a little bit of hope that we can get these people down is just amazing. And by these people,
Yeah,
I mean these cops who are murdering people. Um,
just holding them accountable for their actions.
yes, 100%. And which kind of brings us into the next part of the documentary, which was when Dage finds out she's pregnant with, Antonio's baby, while simultaneously they're seeing the Michael Brown murder. So this is happening simultaneously. And obviously, this is a trigger warning for most of this documentary just because it does hit very close to home. They watched this Michael Brown shooting. It's first of all, it's like in their backyard. Like they live right next to that. So they're seeing this happen and then even more solidifies that that could be me, that could have been my brother. And in Dage's circumstance, it happened to her cousin just a couple months ago before just a couple months before the death of Michael Brown. So Dage's cousin was a 25-year-old college honor student and an activist named Kerry Ball Jr., and he was shot 25 times by St. Louis police officers. So just even then, it goes to show she's sitting here about to bring a fucking child into the world. She saw her cousin die by police, and then she's seeing Michael Brown get shot by police simultaneously while she's about to bring her own baby into this world. Now she has to worry about another child being a black man in America. And
Yep.
that I also sobbed. That was my fourth cry.
Yeah, that was a real sad moment when she was excited that she was having a kid,
Mhm.
but she was upset when she found out it was a boy because
Yes.
she said that they always get killed.
Yep.
And she wanted a little girl because she didn't want him and them to go through that.
Yeah. That's so sad. She literally looks at her baby and she's like, "You're cute now, but when you grow up, you're just gonna be a black man in America."
Yeah, I wrote that same quote down because that got me.
Ugh.
They're gonna look at you differently. Ooh,
Obviously, it's very heavy. don't watch this documentary if you don't want to get slapped in the face with activism and like anger because like if this the only thing this movie made me was like super sad but also super angry because it's still happening to this day.
Mhm.
And to like wrap up the movie, the documentary in general, after we see, the Michael Brown murder and then the birth of her son Akeem, Antonio goes to jail. Antonio goes to jail, and we see him plead guilty to a felony. He's charged as an adult, and he's in prison or he's in jail for a month. Then he gets out, and he has his baby again, which is amazing. And then we see Dajé finally complete her graduation degree. So she wasn't going to graduate from high school, but her teachers worked with her, which is amazing and incredible. These teachers and the judge, they want the good for these kids, and they allowed her to retake her test. She was failing because everything was going on. Antonio was in jail. Her baby was sick in the hospital for a little bit. So I'm really happy that her teachers came together and worked with her so that she could complete graduation. So thankfully, we got to end that documentary on a happy high note. As you all know, again, this is still a super fucking, I don't want to curse as much, but I'm still angry. And we see that this documentary is just still reflective of what's happening today.
Yeah. Um, this documentary is super fantastic, and I really do recommend that a lot of people watch this. I
Hmm.
mean, this I also wanna, like, talk about the school for a second, if
Yeah.
that's okay? So, the school, like, I don't know how it was for her because we only see it through a different kinda lens,
Hmm.
but it seemed like they really wanted to be helpful.
Yes.
You know, there's this quote that I wanted to say earlier, I don't know if it stood out to you, but the principal, he says, "Black kids in Missouri get suspended in school more than any kid in all the United States. 9 to 11 years old, 31% kids that are suspended are Black." And he just seems, like, so upset because
Hmm.
of the system,
Yeah.
and
Rightfully
he doesn't
so.
wanna lose these children, these
Yeah.
kids. They're kids. This school just seems, like, very helpful, like, they were able to, like, look at Dajae and be like, "We know that you're going through a really hard time. Let us help you."
Yeah. And I mean, even in that moment, she was definitely, you could see it in within the documentary, and in that moment she's like, I want to accept your help, but I don't want to accept your help because I'm pissed off. Like, when you're at that, she has so much stuff going on in her life, and so do so many of these kids. If everyone just takes a second and stops thinking about them fucking selves, for them for 1 second, you can empathize with another person who you don't know, but you can tell that most of these kids in a court supervised high school have other stuff going on outside of school, and that's what these teachers know, and they resonate with that because most of them have gone through, like that other teacher, jail or other circumstances like that. So I love the school. I definitely love the school, and I do like the judge that, appointed her to that court supervised high school, because I know he meant well, but it's obviously a touchy subject for all these kids who are in it. Obviously we're not there, so we don't know. That's my thoughts on the school. Was there anything in the documentary that you were like, "I absolutely loved this"? Anything that stood out to you that you're like, "I need to let everyone know how good or bad this was?"
I don't know. I feel like the people who made this documentary did a really great job, and I think that they chose an amazing person to follow.
Mhm.
And I think it speaks more to just follow this one person because I feel like her story is very similar to other people, that is her age, who is her color from different parts of, the world. And I feel like her story is going to resonate with a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I think the only thing that, like, stood out to me the most, actually 2 things. So, one I just forgot to say, but, one part I think I loved when her and Antonio were talking, and obviously Dajae wants the best for her baby. She had a black boy, and because of that, she wanted to get out. She's like, "I'm gonna get out of St. Louis." She's told herself that nonstop. She's like, I'm gonna get out of here. But Antonio, she has a cute conversation, a very impactful conversation with Antonio, and she's like, we're gonna get out of here together. And he's like, I never thought I'd make it out of here. I told myself I would never leave. And she was like, I did too, but I'm gonna get out. We have a baby now. And like just how much she cares for this human being and how much Antonio cares. Like he cried when the baby was born. He was just like sobbing because he's never felt anything so rewarding before. And being a father gave him that reward. So I absolutely love that moment. Just them dreaming of bigger and better things, which is absolutely amazing. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was how Antonio kind of like shot himself in the foot with when he had the charge because he pled guilty to the felony. And I was reading some stuff and they were like, because he pled guilty, he couldn't work with that father, the there was oh my god, what was it called? It was like a job security for
Oh, yeah.
fathers, and because he
Uh,
pled guilty to this felony, he couldn't work with this company who would find jobs for fathers because, it's a felony and he found himself guilty. So he definitely shot himself in the foot and, like, you're not supposed to plead guilty for those kinds of things, which is what I read. I obviously didn't know that either, but because he did that, it kind of, like, set him up because he had no priors. He could have pled not guilty and would have been fine because not fine, he would have been lesser of a charge and, like, had more opportunities. This is all stuff I've researched and found out, but
well, I was gonna say, he gets into the car after the hearing, and he goes, "I messed up.
mhm,
I shouldn't have pled guilty," or
yeah,
he said something like that. Then, whenever he was in there, they were like, "Do you have a lawyer or somebody to represent you, or do you wanna represent yourself?"
mhm,
Like, they barely had the money to get him on bond, you
for
know?
$500, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
crazy.
these are these communities, and, like, especially some of the communities in St. Louis where they're from,
Mhm,
they're really not they're really bad off.
mhm, yeah,
So how do you expect somebody who can't even spend $500 on a bond have that money for a lawyer?
for real. That's
Yeah. Who you will trust and
yeah,
that they will have your best interest.
yeah, 100%.
And yeah, and because of a technicality, he now pled guilty on a felony charge.
Yeah, and tried as an adult.
I think this documentary is like it has won awards and everything, but I don't feel like a lot of people talk about it,
Yes,
you
it's
know?
Emmy Award directors, and yeah, no one I have not heard of this movie from anyone's mouths. I should have not heard it from anyone, nowhere, nothing, so, yeah, I 100% agree with that. And that's why we're here, to let you guys know that you need to watch this, especially if you're, not as aware of what's going on in the world right now, what's continuously going on in with our black and brown people. If you're just blatantly unaware of everything that's happening, definitely watch this film. And although it was filmed in 2013, everything is still very much apparent today. None of these police officers are being held accountable. Still the same. There's still protests going on for just to try and say that Black Lives Matter, and that is exactly what's happening with that Michael Brown murder. What's happening in this entire film. So definitely, definitely, definitely watch it. Definitely do your own research as well. It may seem daunting and it may seem a little bit like, what do I know? But you can do your part as a white person, as a Latina, as a Latino, as an Asian American, as any person you are. You can make a difference if you just educate yourself and just try to understand. Just try a little bit.
Go watch it.
Go
They're
watch
gonna
it.
Yeah, go watch it. There are gonna be some links in our show notes this episode
Mhm.
to their, website for
Click the link
Akeem.com.
in the description, babies.
Yeah, down below.
Okay. Well, I hope you're still sticking with us because you should have.
So let's rate
Okay. Yeah,
this.
we're going to rate this Chris scale rating coming at you live right now. Obviously, we are my first 10 out of 10. My first 10
10.
10. My first
10.
my first.
I'm a 10.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Go watch it. That's all you need to know. Go freaking watch it and let us know. Leave us a comment on our Instagram and tell us how you liked it. all good. Thank you.
And now you've heard all we had to say about For Ahkeem. So let's get over to what's trending on the hottest subscription services.
Ooh. First up, we have Netflix's top 10, which we all know changes faster than Chicago's weather. Hello?
Coming in at number 10, Coco Melon, Not Again.
At number 9, we've got Your Highness. Did someone ring?
Number 8, Love Happens, Unless You're Me.
Number 7, we've got The Innocent, Until Proven Guilty, sir.
Number 6, The Circle, for another week, y'all.
At 5, we've got Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted. Who did this?
Number 4, The Green Zone. I'm actually in the friend zone, usually.
At number 3, we've got Things Heard and Seen, and we'll let you know.
Number 2, Shadow and Bone. Must be good if it's number 2.
And at number 1, The Mitchells vs. the Machines. We stand the bots, honestly.
And if y'all didn't know, the first of every month, most streaming services release a ton of older movies. So, here's a handful of goodies recently uploaded.
We've got Scarface, The Lovely Bones, The Whole 9 Yards, The Land Before Time, and so many more.
The Circle's still trending, and like we said, it will probably be trending until the end of the week, after we find out who the winner is, y'all.
Woo! And coming out on May 7th, we've got Monster. It is not a remake of Charlize Theron, but it is a must-watch.
Juniper Legacy, another type of superhero film, but with bad beards.
And on May 14th, we've got Season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots. It's basically promising you depression with a mix of sci-fi.
A Woman in the Window from Netflix. Amy Adams is a agoraphobic who needs to solve the murder next door. But she can't go outside, and she isn't sure if it even happened.
We love those movies.
Yeah.
On Hulu, the movies that just released on the 1st include, but are not limited to, 500 Days of Summer, the Harold and Kumar movies, I Am Legend, Train to Busan, and for Kristina, Resident Evil Apocalypse, Extinction, and Afterlife.
Yes. The Handmaid's Tale Season 4 just released. Hope y'all are doing well. I'm still on Season 3.
And Cruel Summer, definitely not a hot girl summer. And Hulu has so many good titles coming. Obviously we can't tell until it's released, but we know you won't want to miss these hot new shows coming soon.
The movie The Little Fish, a cute romance sci-fi, and Season 3 of A.D. Bryant's Shrill, both coming May 7th. And then
MLK FBI, the first film to uncover the extent of the FBI's surveillance and harassment of Martin Luther King Jr. coming on May 14th.
On Prime, the movies just released on the 1st include, but are not limited to, Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, Nanny McPhee, The Da Vinci Code, The Indian in the Cupboard, and for me, Resident Evil.
And of course, Without Remorse is still trending on Prime, along with the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month's featured content, including Jimmy O Yang's Good Deal, 4 More Shots Please, Sound of Metal, and Tokyo Girl. Coming to Prime on May 7th, The Boy from Medellin, Colombia, all about J Balvin, baby!
Then on May 14th, we've got a historical drama series coming called The Underground Railroad. Barry Jenkins is going to kill this. Can't wait.
On Disney Plus, newly released is Disney original Star Wars The Bad Batch Episode 1 and 22 vs. Earth. Also, Big Shot has episodes weekly.
And coming up, we've got The Hottest Show Season 2 coming back on May 14th. High School Musical, the series. Olivia Rodrigo is clearly doing everything right with all of her hit singles, so catch her in a new show too.
Cruella is coming out to Disney Plus at the end of May, and you guessed it, until it releases every episode, we will be reminding you that Raya and the Last Dragon will be available to everyone on June 4th.
On HBO Max, the movies just released on the 1st include, but are not limited to, Anaconda, Frida, The Rush Hour Trio, Happy Feet, Good Morning Vietnam, Mortal Kombat from 1995, Movie 43, Precious, Varsity Blues, and The Witches of Eastwick, just to name a few. But obviously, Mortal Kombat is trending.
And coming up on HBO Max, we've got That Damn Michael Che, a 6-episode original comedy series coming on May 6th, starring none other than Michael J. Also, be on the lookout for Hacks, coming to the screen on May 13th, obviously going to be a hit. It's a dark comedy featuring Gene Smart, Hannah Einbinder, and so many more amazing comedians.
And Those Who Wish Me Dead comes out on May 14th. They lost, they being hunted, and they just might die. On Paramount Plus, Younger, the final season. We stand Nico Tortorella. Also, be sure to check out Why Women Kill with Lucy Liu. And For Heaven's Sake, from executive producers of American Vandal.
Truly, we're still just waiting for Paramount Plus to start releasing some hot content for all of us to watch. So be on the lookout. What's trending? Now that you're up to date on what is trending right now on the hottest streaming services, let's get into our 2021 pick of this week, which is one of the hottest new shows, Life in Color with David Attenborough.
Yeah, so our new show is Life in Color with David Attenborough. It is a new docu-series found on Netflix.
It is directed by Adam Geiger, Bridget Appleby, Nick Green, and Sally Thompson.
It is starring David Attenborough.
The budget for this docuseries is definitely a bunch, a lot of money. If you guys saw these visuals, you know damn well.
You see them cameras? Netflix describes this as using innovative technology. This docuseries explores nature from a fresh perspective as animals use color to survive and thrive in the wild.
Woo! And it is hot, y'all. It's beautiful. The visuals, stunning. Everything,
so stunning.
Amazing.
This is going to be a really hard one, Kristen. But how would you describe it? Whatever you want to talk about.
Or I can just talk. Okay, so let me talk about Appano again. No, I'm just kidding.
This is a hard one.
It is, but it's very good. So I will talk a little bit about the first episode just in general. So it's kind of okay. So this definitely reminds me of Planet Earth. Huge Planet Earth vibes. Like if you've ever just as a kid gotten a little bit high and put on some Planet Earth in the background. Okay.
Can we keep that? Oh my god, yes.
Oh my god. Okay. First of all, didn't mean as a kid. I meant like a teen, like a ripe teen. But most of, if some people have done that. And it definitely gives the same vibes as Planet Earth. Like it's just beautiful visuals. You hear David Attenborough narrating the entire thing. You just love to watch it because there's just these beautiful animals, these creatures, and you're finding out in this circumstance everything about these animals and how they deal with color. So it's definitely a huge difference from normal, information. You don't just find out like, oh, this animal eats nuts. It's just all how these animals interact with and use their colors and how they see. So in the first episode, it's called Seeing in Color. The second episode is called Hiding in Color. And the last episode, the third episode, is called Chasing Color, which kind of shows the background of how they incorporated color into the documentary series with these cameras and the equipment that they used and the software and the cool new devices that they made, which is incredible. But it's super great. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, let's get right into this because I, in the first episode, screamed in one specific part. And that is because, as most of you may know, I've said it before on the podcast, but I love water so much. And there's the part where they show the Great Barrier Reef, although it's only for like 2 seconds. They still show it. I've always wanted to go. And they show the most beautiful, oh my God.
It's a shrimp?
The shrimp.
You're talking about the shrimp and the crab?
I am talking about the shrimp, but what the fuck is the shrimp called?
I don't know. Okay, maybe I can look it up.
I found it. Okay. They show this most beautiful shrimp. It's called a peacock mantis shrimp. And oh my God, if I had a favorite animal before, scrap it. This is now almost my favorite animal. This is the most beautiful shrimp I've ever seen in my entire life. It can perceive color faster than any other animal because it has 12 color receptors. We have 3 as humans, and they can reflect polarized light from their tails, so they can use it on their tails, and they also use it to find mating. This is just one of the things that I screamed for. This is just my highlight of this episode because my God, I love fish. I always love water. I love everything in the water. Jesus, do I love this freaking shrimp, and he just punches people. He will punch a crab for no reason. Obviously, it's for a reason, but he can punch so hard. Oh my god, I love shrimp. I love shrimp now, just so you know. Okay.
That was such a fun little part too.
So
We were talking about
good.
earlier how he punched him so hard, the little guy's arm fell off.
Yeah.
His little
Ugh.
arm was, like, dangling, and I was like, "What?"
It happens so fast. It literally he just punches him and then it just goes away.
That's like
Oh,
an Ali of shrimp.
hell yeah, he is. Oh, it's so good. And obviously, this cool ass documentary shows kind of gives you a glimpse, and they use their cameras and they were like, "Hey, this is how these these birds or these fish or peacocks how they can see their prey and how they can see the world in as well with their these ultraviolet color cameras that how they I don't know how they freaking did it.
Yeah, it's really confusing,
It
but, like,
is.
they were able to show how they show it on there, and they explain it probably a lot better on there, but my eyes still glazed over a little bit, but they had, like, these 2 cameras, like, facing each other, and there was,
Yes.
like, a divider in the middle that was
It was half
it was like
reflector and half ultraviolet, like
yes. It was like a panel though or something, or, like,
yes.
when you're doing the lights for, like,
Yes.
light cueing, what are they
Mhm.
called?
Gel.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they kinda look like a gel
Yeah. It literally yeah.
in between, and it ricocheted off of it or something.
Yeah.
And then you can see the difference between what we see and then what animals see, and you can pick up these different hues and lights as
Yes.
an animal.
Yeah, and they showed a really good like, most of the things you couldn't really tell, in terms of, like, when they used the ultraviolet beam, but when they did it on the damselfish in the Great Barrier Reef, you could see. So a damselfish, if any of you know, it's just a completely, like, one color fish. They're normally, like, really bright yellow or, like, bright blue, and they showed this bright yellow damselfish, and then they put the ultraviolet on top of it, and it's just a completely different fish. You can see that some have spots on their tail that are just all over the tail. Some had like these amazing patterns on their scales. But when to the human eye, they're just a yellow fish. But to these fish, the spotting and the pattern, oh my god, it's beautiful. It's incredible how much the difference is. I'm obsessed.
Yeah, I never even thought about how animals and, like, insects and what are fish?
Amphibians,
Amphibians, yes, thank you. We're gonna keep that in there. Amphibians, like, perceived things, in different colors.
Yes.
I never even thought about that, and I feel like if I grew up watching this,
Mhm.
I probably would not be an actor. I'd probably be a scientist or something because this is
Absolutely.
really freaking cool.
Yes. It's
I found
very
this
interesting.
I found this article, and I'm gonna share just, like, a little bit of it, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna link it down below in our show notes, but here's a couple examples. So, bees process blue and green and UV light. It enables them to see markings on flowers that guide them to the most nectar-rich spots. Birds can process red, blue, and green, plus ultraviolet, and it gives them a better vision than any other type of creature.
Mm.
Isn't that cool?
That's so beautiful.
Reef fish, they have certain markings on their bodies that recognize each other without alerting like other large predators like sharks and whales and shit.
Ugh. I just love animals. See, I don't even understand how they even the science nowadays, like how you can tell that it's just completely different, their eyes. Like how would you even this is why we're actors, we don't know.
Yeah. But
Uh,
like this makes me feel like I wish I would go back and just spend 10 years just learning science
yeah.
and biology and all of that.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. And just to like conclude that those findings and that I I can't. I don't know how the hell they find that.
So, there's also this like really I don't know if you watched it. It's the frog fight.
Yes.
That was my favorite part,
Was it?
okay? Yes, it was my favorite part. Okay, so
That's so funny.
they talk about this I can't remember which frog it is.
It's like a red frog. I don't I forget the name, but it's a
The
red
orange
frog,
frog.
very bright red.
Yeah, and they talk about how frogs have, like, that dominance,
Mhm.
and they fight other frogs who have that same, like they have these, orange color spots on them or just, like, they're, like, bigger orange colors on them, and it shows that they're more dominant frogs, they're stronger frogs, and if they see other frogs that are like that, they wanna fight them because they have to show dominance, I guess?
Yeah. So
Yeah?
these two frogs, first of all, can we also note how David Attenborough was like, "Yeah, these frogs are as small as your fingernails." First of all, hello? They're as small as your fingernail and how it just goes to show again how amazing these cameras are. But yes, so these frogs, these red frogs they secrete poisonous they secrete poison. And they they do have to they were both fighting over a woman. Sorry, not a woman frog.
A female frog.
Female frog. But it
We
was
had
just
hair.
it was literally just like the damsel sitting there being like, "Okay, you boys want to fight over me? Fine, then do it." And that was just whoever won gets the girl.
I forgot about that whole main part, the reason why they fought.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for clearing that up. That's
They
why we're
were
great
trying to
hosts.
get her.
Yeah, and she's like, "Fight over me," and
Fight
then
over
they
me, boys.
did, and it
Exactly.
was this silly fight,
Amazing.
but what's really interesting about that fight is Yusan Yang, she has a PhD in this, in biological science. She did a dissertation on sexual selection and phenotypic divergence in polymorphic strawberry poison dart frogs. Wow, that's a mouthful.
And you did
She
that.
I did, and she did that. Um, she she developed this way to predetermine that fight, basically. They basically set up that fight on purpose so that
Wow.
they can get that shot, and she used these different tools and, like, fake frogs to,
Oh,
get that shot. Like, they
wow.
predetermined it so that they can practice on that and then do that in real life and get that shot because they knew that that poison dart frog, I believe,
Mhm.
would not pass up the opportunity to fight that other orange frog.
I love that. I love that. This you guys, if you haven't seen it, just watch the first episode just to see this frog fight because, keep in mind they're the size of your fingernail, so they're super freaking tiny and they're literally I was like this is wrestling. Like we're watching WrestleMania right now. They're just squeezing each other's legs. They're like jumping and it's so good. It's and I think the one thing I took away from the episode in general is this is a flashback to the beginning of the episode. They talk about one of the main characters in Kipo. The Netflix show I've been talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
The main villain in Kipo is a mandrill. And then they show the mandrill in this first episode and how beautiful the mandrill becomes when he's of age. And fun fact, most of these animals when they get their full color is just when they're either, fully matured most of the time or if they're ready to mate. So these animals get these like amazing beautiful colors right when they're about to mate with their and I'm talking about these like birds and these like this monkey. Once they have their testosterone just pulsing through their veins, they're able to show off this beautiful color like in terms of the mandrill and like peacocks and stuff. They just have these, oh my god, it's all to get a woman, it's all to get the girl, it's all to show that they're strong and beautiful. And then women are like, oh my god, like he's strong and beautiful, and then they go and get their man. So love
Mhm.
that. That's all. I had to say that.
Dazzle 'em with the color.
Who was your favorite animal
You know,
in this? I know you love the frogs, but besides
I
the
did
frogs.
love the frogs. I love the frogs. I don't know.
She said, "No, I just love the frogs."
I really love the frogs, man. Why can't I love the
No, you
frogs?
can love the frogs. You're right. No, it's okay. You just love the frogs.
I do,
I
I love the frogs.
just
I did
loved
like everything though, because all the
yeah.
birds were really interesting too, and I'm not a bird
Yes.
person, okay? I don't
Me
trust
neither.
them, but I really was like, "Man, I wanna go to Costa Rica and bird watch."
Mhm.
And there's just all these beautiful, beautiful birds, full of color, full of life. It just made me wanna travel.
Yeah.
So, maybe next
Same.
year, we'll be, doing an Up Next podcast episode in Costa
Ah!
Rica. Ah!
Oh my god,
That'd be so much fun.
okay, fine, Kristina, I'll do it, I guess.
Pull my arm,
Pull my arm, why don't you?
and we'll go to, uh, Puerto
Puerto
Rico and see
Rico,
your
baby.
wild horses.
Hell yeah, we will. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's not much that we can say for this, this docuseries aside from you need to watch it. It's more of a visual excuse me, not a podcast. It's more of a visual documentary. Like this is all about the visuals. There's only so much we can describe it as. Obviously, we can say every single fact we learned, like the Harley Quinn fish in the Great Barrier Reef reflects and absorbs light when it's in a different sea level. We can only say so much of that. But if you want to obviously see it for yourself, please, you can find it on Netflix. It's Life in Color with David Attenborough. And it's really freaking good. It's really freaking good, right, Christina?
Yeah, absolutely, and if you got kids, this is a great way to show your kids a fun way to learn about
Yes.
animals
Yes,
and
absolutely.
science.
Absolutely. 100%. I'll show my kids this when I'm older. When I'm older. Okay, I'm done
When
with
I'm older.
that. Well, what is it rate on your Chris scale rating, huh?
I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest real quick.
Be honest.
I don't really watch a lot of documentaries,
Yeah. I don't
and
either. I'm not a
I am
documentary girl.
awful at anytime someone's like, "Oh, it's a documentary," I'm like, "Ugh, ugh." And now I think I'm
Huh?
getting at that
Hello?
point in my age, maybe it's because 'cause I'm almost 30, but I really love documentaries. I feel like I learn so much.
Yes.
I feel like I learned so much. So, with that being said, I'm gonna give it a good rating because it makes me wanna watch more documentaries like this. So,
Mhm.
I'm gonna give it 8.5 just because I want For Ahkeem to be a 10, and
Mhm.
I feel I'm not trying to judge them or compare them together, but at the same time, it's on the same episode, so I wanna give
Yeah.
For Ahkeem a higher rating, so I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I'm kind of like the same. I feel like I obviously, I don't normally watch documentaries either. I can only pay attention to a screen for however long. So nasty. But I feel like I'm also going to give it like an 8. I think for visuals it would definitely be a 10 cuz the visuals absolutely stunning, entrancing, but sitting there and learning, I hate doing that. So it's going to be an 8 for me. But it is very beautiful and I did honestly learn so much and now I'm way smarter than all of you for it. So everyone go watch it.
All right, folks, that wraps up on our documentary episode. But before we go, we of course have to shine some spotlight. Today, we chose to shine some light on some resources that will help our brown, black, and indigenous communities thrive.
Hell yeah. The first organization we wanted to talk about is the Brown Boy Project. It launched in 2010 and they work to transform the way that communities of color talk about gender. We build the leadership, economic self sufficiency, and health of LGBTQ people of color, pipelining them into the social justice movement. Their mission statement reads: We are a diverse and broad community driven by a commitment to racial justice, gender justice, and transforming our privilege of masculinity into a tool for social change. We prioritize support that improves the lives of masculine, of center women, queer, and trans people of color, work that transforms the lives of women and girls, and introduces new alliances and tools for challenging racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia across our communities.
Our second organization we're going to talk about is NARF. That's going to be Native American Rights Fund. Their mission statement reads that they were founded in 1970. The Native American Rights Fund, NARF, is the oldest and largest nonprofit legal organization asserting and defending the rights of Indian tribes, organizations, and individuals nationwide. Early in our existence, the board of directors determined that legal resources should be concentrated in these 5 areas: preserve tribal existence, protect tribal natural resources, promote Native American human rights, hold governments accountable to Native Americans, develop Indian law, and educate the public about Indian rights, laws, and issues.
And the last organization that we have to talk about is Appano's mission. Um, the Asian Pacific American Network of Oregon is a statewide grassroots organization uniting Asians and Pacific Islanders to achieve social justice. We use our collective strengths to advance equity through empowering, organizing, and advocating with our communities. You can find them at www.appano.org. And then we can plug in a couple of just normal resources that you should see, watch, do whatever you want with.
Yeah, so the first one's going to be America for Americans, A History of Xenophobia in the United States by Erica Lee.
And then we have a great anti racism resource, which we will link in our show description. So just look below, and then we'll have a bunch of linked organizations, and you can also check them out on our Instagram at UpNextP3.
And some other exciting news. We have a new podcast joining our Press Play podcast family called
Woo!
Producing While Asian.
Producing While Asian presents conversations with producers, production staff, and recognizable personalities who identify as Asian and Asian American, BIPOC, or with allies who support the BIPOC community. Host Don Mike Mendoza leads each interview with many people he's met since the beginning of his tenure as Executive Artistic Director of LATIDO Productions.
Woo! We're so excited to have you a part of the podcast crew, Mike.
Woo! Yeah, we're so happy. So, after you get done checking out those resources, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and obviously rate your new favorite podcast, Up Next.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and sometimes Facebook. And definitely be sure to check out all of the other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Woo! Yeah.
Bye, streaming.
Yeah.